Good morning everyone, today we're checking out a brand new video from Parkrun Studios of him turning subscriber submitted characters into SCPs. Let's hop in, let's hop in and see who gets contained today.
This month I asked my audience to send in their own adapted versions of cartoon and video game characters into SCPs, working with franchises that I've turned into SCPs in the past, but picking characters from those franchises that I haven't used yet. It's a very SCP heavy month on this channel because my latest book, Dresden Oakland's SCP Handbook, is currently up for its limited run on Amazon and will only be up for another 2 weeks at the time this video is coming out. So
one more week at the time of this video.
Redraw. And I'll be doing one more SCP video in this run next week when I turn Owl House characters and creatures into SCPs. But for today, we've got this month's redraw, and if you want to participate in the next redraw, the prompt will be announced at the end of this episode. Now let's get into it, shall we? Let's
hit like if you want, subscribe if you feel like it. By the way, enjoy the show.
Good evening, everyone.
Alright, who's
up
first?
As I have been conducting lectures on various subcategories of SCPs for a few years now, I've built up quite a substantial roster of requests to cover specific entities. Today, as a means of getting through some of the requests in a concise manner, I will be covering entities from multiple different subcategories I've covered previously. The first I will discuss is from the SCP-MI sub.
It's Mr. Waterbugger, or whatever his name was. I honestly can't remember. All I remember is he's a crab spider with the whole, "I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die" motif.
Subcategory, all of whom contained by us are held at Site 2319.
Oh, water news.
For a refresher, these entities are monsters who all sustain themselves not via food or drink, but by consuming outbursts of human emotion. Many in this community will target children specifically to frighten them, often leaping out of their closets through means we only learned about recently, and they will gain their sustenance from the fear of these children. However, some within our containment have recently learned that laughter is a more substantial form of nutrient for them.
Surprisingly more powerful.
Entity in this subcategory is item number SCP-MI088. Object class, Euclid. Special containment procedures. MI088 is to be held in a 20 by 20 foot cell with moist air and no standard hinged doors being allowed within 30 feet of the cell. This will help prevent escapes or breaches from the outside by other elder members of this entity's community. Operatives entering the cell must have gone through psychological evaluation to ensure they cannot be swayed by the manipulative tactics of the entity.
Manipulative?
SCP-MI088 is an octuple appendaged crab-like entity with a humanoid upper half and a six-legged lower body. At a glance, it appears to wear a sort of suit, jacket, and vest, though upon closer look, it is clear that this is actually a pattern built into its body through crustaceous plates. Amongst his community, the entity is known as Water Noose, and is seemingly the highest-ranked elder of the SCP-MI category. He was briefly mentioned in my prior lecture on these entities, as he is the former mentor of SCP-MI016, Sullivan. This mentorship occurred prior to the incident in which a human child was brought into our containment by Sullivan and his ally.
I remember that video. It was kind of an interesting one and also a little sad. I mean, they actually went to the SCP Foundation to not turn themselves in, but to try and get help for Boo, who was becoming a monster because of her time in the monster world. Only to be found out that there was no way to return her to normal.
A child who is still transitioned partway into becoming a monster herself. While Waternoose has yet to openly admit this, it is heavily speculated that he is also the entity who sent an assassin, SCP-MI079, to kill 3 previously covered SCP-MI entities in our containment. SCP-MI088 seems to be motivated to keep his community safe and thriving by any means necessary. This is honorable on the surface, but the methods he uses and his narrow-minded views on how this must be done make him a threat both to humans and to his own kind.
Well, yeah, he'll kill anyone.
While he is not entirely cooperative in interviews, we have learned much from him. MI088 has made claims that suggest an entity we've studied, not currently in this subcategory, SCP-1000, is in fact part of his same species of monsters. Waternoose suggested that SCP-1000 known as Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, and other such names colloquially.
Oh, that SCP-1000. Yeah, okay.
Was banished to the Himalayas as a detractor of the SCP-MI community. This seems to contradict some of the information we have on SCP-1000, though there are possible explanations that could validate this link.
Also, Himalayas has the
Yeti,
Yeti, not
Bigfoot. All
Bigfoot.
of our queries. MI-088 is generally calm and pleasant to speak with, especially in regards to the business-like ideology he takes to operating things in his community. With that said, when aggravated, he tends to be hyper-aggressive and defensive. He is not above lunging for the throat of those aggravating him with his clawed fingers. He is clearly older than other MI entities in our containment, but...
Yeah, if I had to actually guess, in the real world, he'd be a man in his maybe mid-60s, maybe early 70s.
Do not let this elevated age fool you. He has strength enough to easily wrestle 4 full-grown operatives off himself with relative
60s.
ease. He
Definitely
also has
60s.
an intriguing anomalous ability that we have since learned is a capability of multiple elders of this community. It explains how these entities are able to so easily get inside children's rooms to frighten them in the night and acquire their desired sustenance.
The dimensional hopping.
With hinged doors, MI-088 can change the location on the other side of a door, either allowing people to come to him from locations all across the globe, or allowing him to open a door to any other hinged door around the world.
Hey, weirdly enough, that actually kind of reminds me of like the key from Scary Godmother. Well, if used on any door with a lock, it can take you straight to the manor.
Has caused us to rethink the doors we use across all of Site-2319 and even other SCP sites.
Gotta make them slide.
Steps have only been taken thus far to change the doors on SCP-MI entity cells.
Actually, that's pretty damn good. And as far as I know, almost every door in the facility, well, with an SCP, should be a sliding door. Up, down,
the next
or right.
entity we will discuss
Ooh,
comes from the subcategory I have covered most, which, frankly, has the least clear definition for why the subcategory exists. SCP-P. Some entities in this category have the ability to metamorphose or evolve into dramatically altered states as they age or progress in their abilities, but this is not consistent across all these entities. With that,
whoa, hold on, I saw something.
SCP-P.
Wait for it.
Some entities in this category have the ability to metamorphose or evolve into dramatically altered states as they age or progress in their abilities, but this is not consistent across...
There! Haha! Boom! I knew I recognized it! And someone took Ultimate Alien X from Ink Tank, giving them a shout out as well, and tried to make it an SCP. So what would that be? SCP Ultimate Alien X? Or SCP-X? I don't know, I only caught it for a glimpse, but I knew it was there.
Across all these entities.
Okay,
with that said, it is in fact a trait of item number SCP-P373. Object class, Keter. Special containment procedures. P373 specimens are to be housed in isolated containment, not shared with other entities of this subcategory or even of their own species.
Badass looking
the current containment cells holding the 2 specimens we have in custody, P373-1 and -2, are currently lined with triple reinforced tungsten, though even this may not be enough to manage the creature's violent outbursts and flames. Description: P373 is a species of draconic creatures that stand at roughly 8 feet tall while on all 4 feet and 37 feet long from snout to tail. They are largely blue and red in color with a white stomach and some dark feathers sprouting from parts of their bodies. They have gill-like slits along their necks, but these are not for breathing underwater. Rather, these provide ventilation for their flame-producing organs. These slits open wider when they are breathing flames, often used as a violent form of attack on prey or fellow competitive predators, such as SCP-P445, covered in my recently released handbook. The first specimen of P373 was taken into containment after it was struck down by a member of the P445 species in the mountains of southern Japan. There are other reports suggesting that these two species often compete for food, and while P373 is more powerful and aggressively violent when aggravated, P445's immense speed seems to give it the upper hand in these conflicts. As P373 entities do not have the same level of speed, we also speculate that they are not able to traverse the entire globe the way that P445 entities are. Given there are some legends of these creatures in Japan, we also speculate that this is the one place on Earth where they reside. Some tales of a draconic creature called the Blood Moon depict a beast similar to these entities, given that title due to their red wings looking somewhat like...
I'm sorry, did you mean Roaring Moon? Oh, that's actually why you called it Blood Moon. Okay, no, that makes sense. Go on.
Like a crescent moon when fully extended. The first specimen of P373 we acquired turned out to be pregnant, so we have learned more about its kind via the egg it laid 1 month after being contained. We were able to see firsthand that these entities have 2 prior states of evolution, neither of which has the capability of flight. They begin life as...
I mean, no. It may not have the capability of flight, but it's literally born with such a desire to fly, it will literally fling itself off cliffs in an attempt to fly. And it will keep doing that even as Shelgong, before eventually erupting and becoming the salamence we all know and love.
P371, a bipedal blue tyrannosaurid-type creature. They later turn into P372 and take on a dramatically different form as a quadrupedal, heavily armored, largely white entity, whose face hides within its durable shell. Our specimen of P372 was kept in containment with other SCP-P entities, but was eventually seen to clamber up onto rocks in the Ruby Sector biome and hurl itself off as if it were attempting to...
Oh, Ruby Sector, right, so Salamence comes from Gen 3, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and Ordas.
Fly. Its armor was more than enough to keep it from being harmed, so it was allowed to continue this habit. Eventually, though, this seemed to lead it to evolving into its final form, as if this desire for flight pushed it to its next level. At this point, it was moved into isolated containment, as this entity in its P373 form has proven to be extremely aggressive, and will attack any creatures or people around it with uncontrollable rage when even slightly aggravated.
Oh, of course, it's Salamence. I mean, dude is literally classic dragon coded, so of course he gets pissed off very easily.
Well, Drezzy boy, how's it feel to have your SCP handbook out there in the world for all the lovely folks at home?
It is quite satisfying, though a bit strange to speak of non-canonically, given in canon it was created to assist operatives of a now long since destroyed version of the SCP Foundation.
Only
Whereas
one of many.
Non-canonically, it is available purely for entertainment purposes, in a world that has no true SCP Foundation.
As far as we know.
I'm sorry?
You don't know Popcross's world doesn't got no SCP Foundation. Maybe the wiki site in their world was an elaborate misdirect by the Foundation, and they really do exist there.
I suppose you have a point.
I mean, we honestly have no idea if the SCP Foundation actually exists in our world. Many of us would love to believe it, but many of us also fail to believe it because of all the wacky shit, and like the Scarlet King, the World Devourer, SCP-3000, i.e. Leviathan, and Infinite Ikeas are pretty okay. But Daybreak? Oh god, no one wants that to happen.
Regardless, the book will be available for another 2 weeks on Amazon at the time this video is releasing, and possibly a very short while longer on Blurb. Both online bookstores, which also have other illustrated novels and coloring books made...
Oh yeah, actually just thinking about it, since this video would have released last week, that means this week would be the last week that I'm actually recording it, meaning by the time y'all are seeing it, it should no longer be actually available on Amazon. My mistake. Whoops, well... hope you can find it on Blub, like you said.
By Popcross Studios, are linked in the description.
Don't want to miss it, folks. Grab it now and get no chow.
You do know the book is not for people to ingest, correct?
It doesn't matter. It just needed the rhyme. Now get back to today's creepy beepies, would ya?
The next entity comes from the SCP-O subcategory. These are extraterrestrial entities I've done 3 prior lectures on, and we've learned about largely from use of an item dubbed SCP-O-10,000. also known as the Omnitrix. We had a specimen of this species in our containment prior to acquiring the Omnitrix, and were unaware it was extraterrestrial in nature.
Oh,
it was previously dubbed SCP-60436.
I mean, I was a little spoiled about this because I saw, I saw like just a clip of this piece of the screen, so I don't know what it's gonna look like. But really, someone submitted Topic, a creature so ugly and hideous that it can literally take the color from a man's skin,
but has since been reclassified as item number SCP-0058. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures: 0058 is to be housed in an isolated chamber with airtight walls and seals lining cracks in the door. There is also to be a specialized ventilation system in place and cameras that only pick up thermal imaging, not normal light spectrums. It is essential that observing operatives not accidentally see this entity's true face, even through the cameras.
Yeah, you get petrified.
Description: 0058 appears to be a bipedal humanoid with a misshapen ogre-like build and a highly disproportionate silhouette, with short, stumpy legs and overly long arms. Its skin resembles a hardened cartilage substance marked by root-like growths and discolored blemishes, as well as spikes. Its disproportionately long arms give it a wingspan nearly twice its height. The subject's primary biological offensive capabilities manifest through the expulsion of a nauseous gas that causes a neurological inhibitory effect, though even merely observing this entity's dysmorphic face has been enough to cause the same result in some cases. Once afflicted, the victim will experience crippled motor function and suppressed synaptic activity in regions of the brain associated with joy, hope, and rational thought.
Yeah, you pretty much become brain dead.
The victim with little more than anxiety and fear. Similar biological suppression has been observed in those afflicted across multiple sectors of their endocrine system, but with adrenal cortisol production remaining persistently active, and even elevated. The myriad of overlapping symptoms caused by this...
If I remember correctly from the And Beyond episode about these guys, well, I think there was an And Beyond episode, and these guys aren't even immune to it themselves. They could accidentally blast each other.
Has shown
that's why they wear pumpkins.
To quite literally petrify personnel with fear, making direct visual contact with this entity or inhalation of its gas a fate widely considered to be worse than death.
Oh,
though
easily!
Petrification will eventually lead to death in most subjects afflicted. When first brought into containment, the entity had its own helm that covered its face, but it had control of when it allowed this to open. It was considered a safe-class entity at the time, as it had never shown any violent intent, was quite cooperative, and had never chosen to open its mask other than when actively requested for experiments on D-class personnel to study the entity. Unfortunately, during a procedure in which we attempted to utilize 0058 in the containment of SCP-173, often referred to as the Sculpture, 0058 opened its mask unprompted. Operative Terry saw the face first and was instantly petrified, followed by other operatives moving the entity. It then escaped containment, rendering 21 personnel as husks of their former selves, before being recaptured. The entity was reclassified as Euclid that same evening, and subsequently provided with a reinforced cranial containment cage controlled by the Foundation. This cage allows for feeding while restricting exposure to its facial structure, protecting those working on containing it. This mask also integrated metal piping designed to recirculate expelled gas from its body back into its system. Installation of the apparatus unfortunately resulted in 4 fatalities. Notably, 0058 displayed a complete absence of pain response when the pipes were installed. This was later attributed to it having a lack of functional nerve endings. In recent years, we have been able to learn more about this entity after acquiring the Omnitrix. Further study by the Department of Extraterrestrial Paleontology, along with comparative DNA analysis through SCP-010,000, suggests that the species, designated pteronopsids, commonly referred to as terretinal ogres, are genetic descendants of another species studied through the Omnitrix called opticoids. This theory was explained to me thoroughly, and I reread the notes on it multiple times, but I was unable to understand the logic of it, and I don't feel I can adequately express it to you at this time.
Oh, well, I could give you a quick rundown. It's kind of considered in fan theory and by Ink Tank community that the optical whatever the hell's the eye guy species is like a branch of them was like exposed to something and didn't want to be like mutated by it. So over a few generations, they lost a number of eyes, actually more so internalizing them, but of course conglomerating into a bit of a cluster on the face is that would have like multiple fins or vents or flippers or whatever you want to say that they could open at will to, show off the eyes and use the eyes. And of course, because of the previous ability to fire an energy beam from the eyes, that was actually mutated as well along with the eyes, creating the petrifying gaze that we all know. And so to prevent them from accidentally using it on each other and people around them, they started growing pumpkins and wearing them. That's why if you were to ever visit their homeworld, you'd see that they're pumpkin farmers. And for the most part, pretty damn peaceful. Unless provoked.
Regardless, the Foundation hopes to better understand this subject through study of the specimen of it accessible through the Omnitrix, controlled by the Omnitrix's wearer. Using this method, we will refine containment methods so there are no more deaths resulting from its containment. We hope, as that thing killed Terry, and the death will not be in vain.
Ooh. One thing I do like about these is that all these SCP videos, those take place prior to him becoming the overseer that we all know.
Finally, for today, I will cover another member of the SCP-R subcategory. More specifically still, this entity is from the SCP-R900 grouping, all of which are entities taken into containment from the Garden View Education Center and Museum. These entities both acted as children's entertainment in the center and starred in a television program for children called Dandy's World. Many of these entities were safe class when first brought into containment, but unfortunately many of them, including the entity we'll cover today, have since gone through transformation into a twisted form, which then renders them far more violent and aggressive. Item number SCP-R944. Object class, Euclid.
If the giant red eyes and the bleeding ink teals was not a clear indicator that these things are not friends, yeah, no, I think it ripping a man in half clearly says not friend.
Special containment procedures. R944 is aggressive and violent towards any operatives who enter its cell, but can be slightly calmed before necessary entry by playing Christmas music through an active speaker system in the entity's cell. It is to be provided with a minimal supply of ichor, which is known to sustain the Garden View entities. Description. R944 is a bipedal reindeer-like entity, once standing at roughly 4 feet tall in its original form, but now 6 feet tall to the top of its head, or 8 feet to the top of its right antler, since transforming to twisted form. It has a red, glowing nose in both forms, similar to the children's tale of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It is likely that this entity was made to look that way intentionally by its creators, the now-deceased figures Delilah Keene and Arthur Walton. Now in its twisted form, the entity has claws made from ichor, and its legs are entirely formed from this same substance, known to have been used to create these entities in the first place by Keene and Walton. The entity also grew spikes down its back, a more monstrous face with sharp teeth, and the once candy cane-like antlers on its head changed into a form more like ichor, and one broke off in its first attempted breach.
You could actually almost say like it's black licorice.
Raided, this entity was found in the basement along with previously discussed entities R936 and R906, both of whom have also turned since coming into Foundation containment. Like many others of this group, R944 was previously allowed to wander its containment site freely. If given any craft supplies, it would create various gifts to give to operatives and its fellow entities, and it would act as though it were Christmas every day of the year, often humming Christmas tunes, even in mid-July. Well,
oh wait, I just realized, it could be a lost member of the holiday family from Deltarune.
Some found this irksome, most considered it to be endearing and enjoyed the presence of this entity.
I'm joking,
This
sorry.
is no longer the case since transforming. We are not certain what prompted this entity's transformation, but after observing the recordings inside itself for the nights leading up to the change, it did appear the entity was having nightmares. It muttered a few things about a vague, unknown figure attempting to drain R944 of its Christmas spirit. Sadly, we have little more information than that. Like with all entities in this subcategory, we are working to return this entity to its non-twisted state, while also preventing others of its kind from turning, though, thus far, we are having little success. Still, we press on. With that said, that concludes our lecture for this evening. Please leave more requests for entities or subcategories to cover, and they will be considered after my lecture on entities of the boiling realm next week.
Wait,
thank you,
boiling
and
realm.
good night.
Wait, we're gonna be dealing with the boiled one next week? Oh, okay. If you don't know who the boiled one is, do yourself a favor, check out Film City. They talked about it.
You'd probably also like my Realm of Hopeful Horrors series. You could jump into it with my Alice in Wonderland characters as horrors episode. I'll have it linked in the cards. Thank you very much to everybody who submitted for this month, and a specific thank you to the people who were chosen. Good Guac, Xenodragon009, 7 Eels in a Trench Coat, and Hayden BS. Now for the February 2026 community redraw, what I want people to submit is their own original Bayou Knight.
Ooh.
And the ones chosen will be added into my series and the eventual book, The Book of Bayou Knights. So if you want to know more lore about those characters, you might want to check out the first couple episodes that have come out. I'm excited to see what you all submit, but besides that, that's all for today, except of course we're ending this video on some kind of positive inspiring note. And the thought I want to leave people with today is a quote I read this week that I've heard before but I really love, and that is that if you are serious about changing your life, you will find a way. If you're not serious, you'll find an excuse. It's a pretty blunt one, but I think it's absolutely true and applies to your career, your mental health,
I feel like he actually used that same one back in Starseed Psyche, but I'm not sure.
Your physical fitness, tons of different things. So I hope it's an inspiring reminder. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Friday.
And that is going to be the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of you next time when we flick back on. Till then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.